So congratulations on taking the very first step. And that very first step is to start becoming an observer of your life. Once you start doing that, that means you put yourself in the driver's seat of your life and you're going to gain a whole new perspective of what really makes you tick. So by doing this last exercise where you are identifying what your beliefs are and what patterns you may have inherited, gives you a better perspective if these patterns and beliefs are still working for you. Have they ever really worked for you? Some may have, absolutely, and others may not resonate with you anymore. And that's why it's important to take that, what's inside of us, and to bring it out in the open. And by writing it down, it's like you're taking a view of what's going on inside of you. But now you're looking at it from a different vantage point. When we carry a lot of our beliefs and our values within us, we do it unconsciously for the most part. And we just continue living our lives and having knee-jerk reactions to all kinds of things, or, instantly we'll defend a value or belief because it has just been ingrained within our lives and within our energy fields. So this is a perfect opportunity to start just reassessing at where you are right now in your life if some of these beliefs still hold true. And that's where it becomes really important to do this first step, because that's when we're saying to the universe, I am setting the intention to become more conscious of how I'm living my life, basically. Okay? So once you set that intention, then you'll notice that you're going to experience some synchronistic events which will start giving you clues and signs of some of the questions you may be asking yourself with respect to these beliefs or these patterns that you have in your life when it comes to, and we're going to stay focused on our subject of parenting in this case. So when you set that intention and once you start asking more profound questions about what you believe in and who you really are, that's when the universe, the energy starts being generated, and that's where these synchronistic events will start happening in your life like they have in mine. And I have no doubt the same thing will happen to you. So the right book will come, or the person will be saying something to you and it'll trigger something inside of you and say, oh, you know what? That makes sense to me. Or it could be a workshop you'll attend, it could be something somebody says on the radio or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just don't have any expectations about it. But when you start asking yourself the question, is this still true for me? And if you're questioning it, obviously because there's something inside you that's saying that maybe it's not totally aligned with you, and maybe it is. You'll find out through your own journey. So that's why I think congratulations are really important to offer you at this point in time, because this is an exercise obviously you'll have to do more than once, obviously. But every time you do see yourself behave in a certain way, this is a perfect opportunity, if you set the intention, to ask yourself after the fact, obviously not during, because we're so into the illusion of it all. But when you take a step back and say, okay, now let me reevaluate why I had this behavior, and is this really what I want to do and act? Is this really the way I want to act? And why? And do I want to release that and maybe put something that makes more sense to me? So again, we're going to move on to the next exercise. This next exercise is a really important part of the process of your journey of self-healing. It's an exercise to help you set yourself free. As you can recall, I mentioned that we carry a lot of negative emotions in our energy field. And I refer to it as a bubble that is hanging over your shoulders, and as the years go by, it just gets bigger and bigger and heavier to carry. Until you can deflate that bubble, it will continue to impact your life and making your relationships with your children very difficult to manage at times. This exercise will help you to set yourself free from those emotions. Set an intention to center yourself and to breathe deeply. Set the intention to try and set yourself free from all the stress, all the anxiety, the worry, the pain, the suffering, the discouragements that you may have felt up until now being a parent. Set yourself free from the feeling of being disrespected, abused, unappreciated by your sons or daughters. Set yourself free from thinking that you have lost control over your life. Set yourself free from thinking that you are totally powerless when it comes to your children's lives and the choices they can make. Set yourself free from thinking that you are an incompetent parent, and set yourself free from all the times that you've compared yourself with other parents and that you felt that you could not be as skilled as they are. Just set yourself free from all this tension. It's no longer serving you. It has had its purpose because it brought you to where you are today. We can thank those emotions, but now it's time to realize that it's time to let them go. We will now listen to a beautiful piece of music that is called Serenity by Robert Coxon. Just imagine that this music has the power to carry all the negative emotions, deflating that dark bubble over your shoulders. And imagine that the flowers represent your open heart. And as your heart opens, the infinite, unconditional love that exists within your heart is filling all of your being and making you feel absolutely wonderful. Make sure you are in a comfortable sitting position or lying, whichever you prefer. Breathe deeply and let's listen to this music now. So the next step that we'll be doing is just as important as the one we just completed. And that next step is to begin to really believe that you have always been the best parent you could possibly be. There is no such thing as failure when it comes to parenting. We sometimes feel that we are victims of a very unhealthy relationship with our son or our daughter, yet at the same time we punish ourselves because we believe it's our fault that our kids have turned out this way, and that's how we fall into the trap of believing that we failed as parents. And of course, what results is that the guilt builds up more and more within us. Now, I'm here to tell you that it is just not possible to fail. And I know that you're having a hard time with that. And that's why I want to spend more time with you to go over this with you, because this is a major roadblock that we have to connect with our inner guidance. So we have to remove that roadblock, and it's really important that we take the time to do this exercise together in order to release this once and for all from your belief system. So it's just not possible to fail. I'm going to repeat it. It's just not possible to fail at anything in your life. The only way you can experience failure is if you believe that failure exists. But if you shift your consciousness and start believing that life is only about growth and expansion and nothing else, then your whole life is going to take on a whole new meaning, because everything that you do will be for your own growth, and there will be no judgment as to how that growth is going to occur. And once you can see the truth in that message, you'll start relaxing much more, being much more at peace with yourself. Your self-critic will begin to vanish because it will have no more purpose to serve in your life. And you will start being much more accepting of other people's lives and how they lead their lives, especially your children, because you'll know that it's all part of their growth and their expansion, of which you're connected with anyways, as we talked about earlier. So believing that you haven't failed is so huge, it will just release a huge weight on your shoulders, and you're going to start breathing much more easily. And it's such an important step in the healing process. And I'll take that a step further for you. Once you become aware that this parent-child relationship is really a perfect mirror of what's going on inside of you and what needs to be healed, or healed is always a word that I'm a bit skeptical in using, because nothing really needs to be healed in life. It's just a shift in consciousness. But once you realize where your level of consciousness is with respect to what's going on between you and your child, you can't imagine what you're going to start discovering about yourself. And if you're still thinking at this point in time that you don't have anything to learn really from your child, it's really you trying to teach him or her something, your life apparently is working out well, but they're going on down the wrong path, and you want to bring them back because you're right and you know what's best for them. And so they're not teaching you anything. You're the one who's really teaching them about their lives. I'm just letting you know right now that I tried that for a very long time. I had that belief, I had that approach, and I can assure you, for me anyways, that never worked. Never. And I don't think it can ever work. Because that kind of guidance that you're offering, you have to really take a step back and try and see if that guidance is based in fear or is it based in love. Because if it's based in love, then you're actually supporting the other person and leaving them the freedom to choose the way they want to choose, how they want to make their decisions, but at least the support that you're offering is one of empowerment. But when your guidance comes from a place of fear, then that whole energy is very different, and it has, if I can say, a negative impact on the person that you're giving this guidance to, and in this case, your son or daughter. Let me give you an example. So let's say your teenager is wanting to drop out of school. I'm speaking from experience because that happened to me, okay? So what kind of reactions does this situation trigger inside of you? That's the question to ask yourself. Because if the emotion that is triggered inside of you is one of fear and insecurity, then you need to take a step back and say to yourself, well, why am I insecure if my son or daughter doesn't continue his or her education? Am I worried about them, or am I worried about my own fear of insecurity? And if you really dig in deeper into that insecurity, like I did, it's amazing what you'll uncover. So I really am suggesting that the parent-child relationship is really a mirror of what's going on inside of you. And as you discover this, you'll be able to surrender more and more into your inner wisdom to discover more and more how you can release these and heal these emotions so that it allows you to become the best version of yourself. So the more negativity you release, the more connected you will feel to the love that exists within your heart. And again, why is that important? It's because as you connect with your heart, you'll have access to that inner wisdom and the beautiful, unique gifts you came here to express in this lifetime. And of course, the first person who benefits from it is you, and of course, the other persons and other people that will benefit from it are your children, because that's when you'll be able to be the best parent for them, because you'll be providing guidance that's based in love and not guidance that's based in fear.